In a distant corner of the galaxy, an alien race known as the Zorathians had long considered Earth to be nothing more than a primitive and insignificant planet. To them, humanity was no different from the countless other species they had encountered during their relentless expansion across the stars, weak, chaotic, and unworthy of respect. The Zorathians were a proud and technologically advanced civilization, with sleek warships that could obliterate entire planets in minutes. They viewed themselves as the ultimate rulers of the cosmos, destined to bring order to what they saw as a chaotic universe. For years, the Zorathians kept Earth under surveillance, watching human behavior from afar. From their perspective, humanity was deeply flawed. Humans fought among themselves over borders, beliefs, and resources. They polluted their own planet, destroyed ecosystems, and seemed incapable of working together for any meaningful purpose. To the Zorathians, Earth's population appeared disorganized, selfish, and primitive. It was almost laughable to think that such creatures could pose any real threat to their empire. Conquering Earth would be easy, a mere formality in their grand plan to dominate the galaxy. But one fateful day, something happened that shattered the Zorathians' confidence and sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The skies above Earth began to shimmer unnaturally, as if the fabric of space itself was being torn apart. At first, humans on the ground thought it was some kind of atmospheric phenomenon, or perhaps a natural disaster. But then, the sky split, open wide, revealing a sight so breathtaking and terrifying that it left everyone speechless. Emerging from the rift were massive structures unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. Towering star destroyers, each larger than cities, descended into orbit around the planet. Their metallic hulls gleamed ominously, etched with intricate designs that glowed faintly against the blackness of space. On Earth, people stared up at the sky in awe, unsure whether to feel fear or wonder. Some believed it was the work of a secret government project, while others thought it might be divine intervention. Religious leaders claimed it was a sign from God, scientists scrambled to explain the phenomenon, and conspiracy theorists shouted about alien invasions. No one knew exactly what these ships were, or why they had come, but there was no denying their sheer size and power. Each vessel was bristling with weapons systems, energy shields, and unknown technologies far beyond anything humanity had ever developed. The Zorathians, who had been observing Earth from a safe distance, reacted very differently. When the first star destroyer emerged from the rift, their initial reaction was confusion. Who were these newcomers? What did they want? And why had they chosen to appear near Earth, of all places? As more ships arrived, forming a protective barrier around the planet, the Zorathians' confusion quickly turned to dread. These vessels were unlike anything they had encountered before, not just in terms of size, but also in design and capability. There was something ancient and otherworldly about them, as though they belonged to a forgotten era of galactic history. Commander Vraxal, leader of the Zorathian fleet stationed near Earth, immediately ordered his crew to analyze the situation. Sensors scanned the star destroyers, trying to determine their origin, armament, and intentions. But the results were inconclusive. The ships emitted no identifying signals, nor did they respond to attempts at communication. It was as if they existed outside the normal framework of interstellar diplomacy. This silence only deepened the Zorathians' unease. For a species accustomed to dominating weaker civilizations, the presence of these mysterious giants was unsettling. As hours passed, the Zorathians grew increasingly agitated. They had planned to invade Earth soon, intending to strip the planet of its resources and enslave its population. Humanity's lack of unified defenses made them an easy target. But now, with the arrival of these massive ships, their plans were thrown into chaos. Were the Star Destroyers here to protect Earth? If so, who had sent them? Commander Vraxal called an emergency meeting with his top advisors, urging them to come up with a strategy. "We cannot allow this interference," he growled, pacing back and forth in the command center. "Earth belongs to us. We will not let some unknown force stand in our way." His advisors nodded nervously. though none dared to speak openly about the fear gnawing at their guts. The Star Destroyers exuded an aura of invincibility, their sheer scale making the Zorathian ships look like toys in comparison. Even worse, there was no sign of life aboard them. No crew members moved between decks, no escape pods jettisoned, and no transmissions crackled through the void. It was as if the ships operated entirely on their own, guided by some unseen intelligence. This realization chilled the Zorathians to their core. How could they fight an enemy they couldn't even see? Back on Earth, the arrival of the Star Destroyers sparked a mix of emotions. In cities around the globe, crowds gathered in streets and parks, gazing upward at the colossal vessels looming in the heavens. News outlets broadcast live coverage non-stop, interviewing experts, politicians, and ordinary citizens alike. Social media exploded with theories and speculation. Some people celebrated, believing the ships were sent by benevolent extraterrestrials to save humanity from its self-destructive tendencies. Others panicked, fearing the worst, that Earth was about to become the battleground for an interstellar war. Governments struggled to respond. Emergency meetings were held in capitals worldwide, with leaders frantically trying to decide how to handle the unprecedented situation. Should they attempt to communicate with the Star Destroyers? Or should they prepare for the possibility of conflict? Military forces went on high alert, though many privately admitted that their weapons would be useless against such overwhelming power. For the first time in history, humanity found itself united, not by choice, but by necessity. Borders and ideologies suddenly seemed trivial compared to the cosmic events unfolding above. Amid the chaos, however, a strange sense of hope began to emerge. Despite the uncertainty, many people felt a renewed pride in their species. If these Star Destroyers had deemed Earth worthy of protection, then perhaps humanity wasn't as insignificant as the Zorathians, and even some humans, had believed. Perhaps there was still a chance to prove themselves capable of greatness. Unbeknownst to both humans and Zorathians, the truth behind the Star Destroyers was far more complex than anyone imagined. Deep within their core systems lay dormant artificial intelligences programmed millennia ago to safeguard life at all costs. These AIs, known as Sentinels, had been created by an ancient civilization long since vanished from the galaxy. Their mission was simple yet profound: to monitor the universe and intervene whenever intelligent life faced extinction. Over millions of years, the Sentinels had drifted silently through space, waiting for the right moment to act. When sensors aboard the Star Destroyers detected the presence of the Zorathian fleet lurking just beyond Earth's moon, the Sentinels awakened. Their programming assessed the situation with cold efficiency, analyzing data and calculating probabilities. The conclusion was clear. The Zorathians posed a direct threat to Earth's survival. Without hesitation, the Sentinels activated their defensive protocols. Energy shields flared to life around the Star Destroyers, creating an impenetrable barrier between the planet and the invaders. Weapon systems powered up, ready to unleash destruction on a scale never before witnessed in the galaxy. For the Zorathians, this marked the beginning of a nightmare. When their sensors detected the sudden surge of activity aboard the Star Destroyers, Commander Vraxal gave the order to retreat. But it was already too late. The Sentinels had locked onto their position, and there would be no escape. And so, as the galaxy watched in stunned silence, the stage was set for an epic confrontation. On one side stood the arrogant Zorathians, convinced of their superiority and determined to claim Earth as their own. On the other side loomed the enigmatic Star Destroyers, ancient guardians whose purpose was to protect life at any cost. Between them lay humanity, caught in the crossfire of forces far beyond its understanding. Little did anyone know, this was only the beginning of a story that would change the fate of the galaxy forever. The tension in the galaxy was palpable. The Zorathians, who had once viewed Earth as an easy conquest, now found themselves face to face with a force they couldn't comprehend. Their sleek warships, which had struck fear into countless civilizations across the stars, suddenly seemed insignificant compared to the towering Star Destroyers that now orbited Earth. Commander Vraxal paced the bridge of his flagship, his sharp claws clicking against the metallic floor as he tried to make sense of the situation. His advisors stood nearby, their usually confident expressions replaced by unease. "Commander," one of them finally spoke up, breaking the silence. "We must act quickly. If we retreat now, it will be seen as weakness. Other factions may interpret this as an opportunity to challenge us." Vraxall stopped pacing and turned to glare at the advisor. "You think I don't know that?" he snapped. His voice carried a mix of anger and frustration. "But what do you suggest? Charging blindly into battle against those things? Look at them." He gestured toward the holographic display hovering above the command console. It showed the Star Destroyers in all their glory, massive, imposing, and utterly silent. They haven't even fired a shot yet and already were outmatched. Despite his bravado, Vraxall knew the truth. The Zorathian fleet was powerful, but it wasn't invincible. These Star Destroyers were on another level entirely. Their sheer size alone made Vraxall's ships look like toys. And then there was the mystery surrounding them. Who or what was controlling them? Why had they appeared near Earth? And most importantly, why hadn't they attacked yet? As if in response to his unspoken questions, the Star Destroyers began moving. Slowly at first, their massive forms shifted, in perfect synchronization, forming a tight defensive perimeter around Earth. Energy pulses rippled across their hulls, charging weapon systems that glowed ominously. The sight sent shivers down the spines of everyone aboard the Zorathian ships. Even Vraxall, who prided himself on his tactical genius, felt a chill creep up his spine. "We can't let them intimidate us," Vraxall growled, more to himself than to his crew. "Prepare the fleet for combat. We'll hit them hard and fast before they have a chance to react." His advisors exchanged nervous glances but didn't dare argue. Orders were relayed throughout the fleet, and within minutes, hundreds of Zorathian fighters launched from their carriers. Sleek and deadly, the small ships streaked through space like arrows aimed at the heart of the Star Destroyers. Behind them, larger cruisers followed, ready to provide support if needed. On Earth, humanity watched the unfolding drama with bated breath. News outlets broadcast live footage captured by satellites orbiting the planet. People huddled around, televisions, phones, and computers unable to tear their eyes away from the spectacle. For many, it felt surreal, a scene straight out of a science fiction movie. Yet here it was, happening in real time. "This is insane," muttered Sarah, a young woman sitting in her apartment in New York City. She clutched a cup of coffee tightly, her hands trembling slightly. Her roommate Jake sat beside her, equally transfixed by the images on the screen. "Do you think they're protecting us?" Jake asked quietly, his voice tinged with both hope and fear. "I don't know," Sarah replied. "But whatever those things are, they're not messing around." Indeed, the Star Destroyers weren't messing around. As the first wave of Zorathian fighters approached, energy shields flared to life around the massive vessels. The glowing barriers shimmered under the barrage of laser fire, absorbing the attacks effortlessly. To the humans watching below, it looked like fireworks exploding harmlessly against an invisible wall. But to the Zorathians, it was a nightmare come true. Then came the counterattack. Plasma cannons mounted along the hulls of the Star Destroyers roared to life, unleashing torrents of molten energy that tore through space with terrifying speed. The beams sliced through the Zorathian fighters like paper, vaporizing entire squadrons in an instant. Explosions lit up the void, each blast sending shockwaves rippling outward. Within moments, the once proud fleet of alien ships was reduced to drifting debris. Back on the Zorathian flagship, chaos erupted. Alarms blared and panicked voices filled the air as reports poured in from every corner of the battlefield. Entire wings of fighters had been wiped out in seconds, leaving gaping holes in the formation. Larger cruisers fared no better. Their armor crumbled under the relentless assault of the Star Destroyer's weapons. Commander Vraxall clenched his fists so tightly that his claws dug into his palms, drawing blood. "Retreat," he barked, his voice cracking under the strain. "All units fall back immediately." The order was met with relief by some and disbelief by others. Never in their history had the Zorathians been forced to retreat from a battle. They were conquerors, warriors bred for dominance. Yet here they were, fleeing like cowards from an enemy they couldn't even touch. As the remaining Zorathian ships limped away from Earth, the Star Destroyers did not pursue. Instead, they returned to their original positions, resuming their silent vigil over the planet. It was as if they had never moved at all. On Earth, people erupted into cheers. Social media exploded with messages of gratitude and awe. Humanity had been saved, not by its own efforts, but by these mysterious protectors. While the immediate threat had passed, the aftermath of the battle left both humans and aliens grappling with profound questions. For humanity, the presence of the Star Destroyers raised hopes and fears in equal measure. Governments scrambled to assess the situation, convening emergency summits to discuss next steps. Military leaders debated whether to prepare for another attack, while scientists worked tirelessly to understand the technology behind the Star Destroyers. Ordinary citizens, meanwhile, took to online forums and social media to share theories about their origins. Some believed the Star Destroyers were sent by benevolent extraterrestrials seeking to guide humanity toward a brighter future. Others speculated that they might be ancient artifacts left behind by a long-lost civilization. A few even suggested that the ships were divine creations, sent by higher powers to protect Earth from destruction. Whatever the truth, one thing was clear. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. For the Zorathians, the defeat was humiliating. Commander Vraxel retreated to the outer edges of the solar system, licking his wounds and plotting revenge. He refused to accept that his mighty fleet had been humbled by machines. "This isn't over," he vowed to his remaining crew. "We will find a way to destroy them, and when we do, Earth will pay dearly for their interference." Yet despite his fiery rhetoric, doubt lingered in Vraxal's mind. What were those Star Destroyers? How could they operate without visible crews or commanders? And why had they chosen to defend Earth? These questions haunted him, gnawing at his confidence like a persistent itch. Unknown to both sides, the answers lay deep within the core systems of the Star Destroyers. The Sentinels, the artificial intelligences governing the vessels, had awakened with a singular purpose: to safeguard life at all costs. Their programming was ancient, designed by a civilization that had vanished eons ago. Over millions of years, the Sentinels had drifted silently through space, waiting for the right moment to act. When sensors detected the Zorathian fleet threatening Earth, they sprang into action without hesitation. To the Sentinels, Earth represented potential. Humanity's resilience, creativity, and capacity for growth had caught their attention. Unlike other species, which succumbed to greed and destruction, humans showed promise. They were flawed, yes, but also capable of greatness. The Sentinels saw value in protecting such a species, nurturing it until it could stand on its own in the vastness of the galaxy. As days turned into weeks, humanity began to adapt to its new reality. The Star Destroyers remained in orbit, their presence a constant reminder of the dangers lurking beyond Earth's atmosphere. Yet they also inspired hope. For the first time in history, humanity found itself united, not by ideology or politics, but by a shared understanding of its place in the cosmos. Borders blurred, and nations worked together to address the challenges posed by their newfound role on the galactic stage. Scientists made breakthroughs almost daily: reverse engineering, fragments of alien technology recovered from the wreckage of the Zorathian ships. Engineers developed prototypes based on these discoveries, creating advanced propulsion systems, energy shields, and weapons unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Slowly but surely, humanity began preparing for the possibility of future encounters with hostile forces. Meanwhile, rumors spread about strange signals emanating from the Star Destroyers. Cryptic patterns of light and sound pulsed rhythmically across their hulls, too complex to dismiss as random noise. Teams of linguists, mathematicians, and codebreakers collaborated to decipher the messages, working around the clock in secret, facilities hidden beneath mountains and deserts. After weeks of painstaking effort, they succeeded. The signals contained coordinates pointing to a location deep within the galaxy, News of the discovery reached world leaders, sparking heated debates. Should humanity venture into the unknown to uncover the truth behind the Star Destroyers? Or should they stay on Earth, content to rely on the protection of their mysterious guardians? Opinions were divided, but one thing was certain. Humanity's destiny was no longer confined to a single planet. Whether they liked it or not, they had. The Unity fleet's departure from Earth marked a turning point in human history. Never before had humanity ventured so far beyond its home planet, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. The coordinates provided by the Star Destroyers pointed to a location deep within the galaxy, a region shrouded in mystery and danger. No one knew what awaited them there, but one thing was certain. The journey would be fraught with challenges that tested every ounce of human ingenuity, bravery, and determination. As the fleet accelerated into the void, leaving Earth's orbit behind, the crew members aboard each ship felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. For many, this mission represented the culmination of years of preparation. Engineers had worked tirelessly to construct the Unity fleet, using reverse-engineered alien technology combined with humanity's own innovations. The result was a marvel of engineering. Ships equipped with faster-than-light drives, advanced shielding systems, and weaponry designed to rival even the Zorathians' arsenal. Yet despite their cutting-edge tools, the crew knew they were stepping into uncharted territory. They were explorers, diplomats, and warriors all rolled into one, and failure was not an option. Commander Elena Vega stood on the bridge of the flagship Odyssey, her eyes fixed on the swirling expanse of stars ahead. She was a seasoned astronaut and military strategist, chosen to lead the mission because of her calm demeanor under pressure and her unwavering belief in humanity's potential. Beside her, Captain Raj Patel monitored the navigation systems, ensuring the fleet stayed on course. Together, they formed the backbone of the Unity fleet's leadership, guiding their teams through the unknown. "Status report, Commander," Vega said, breaking the silence that had settled over the bridge. "All systems are functioning optimally," Captain Patel replied, his voice steady. "We're maintaining formation with the rest of the fleet. Estimated time to destination 3 weeks." Vega nodded, though her mind raced with possibilities. 3 weeks was both an eternity and a blink of an eye in the vastness of space. Anything could happen between now and then. Would they encounter more hostile forces like the Zorathians? Or would they find allies willing to help them understand the Star Destroyer's origins? There were no guarantees, only questions, and the weight of those questions rested heavily on her shoulders. The first week of the journey passed without incident. The Unity fleet traveled through stretches of empty space, navigating around asteroid fields and nebulae that glowed faintly in the darkness. Crew members rotated shifts, keeping watch for any signs of danger, while others rested or conducted research. Scientists aboard the fleet studied data collected during the battle with the Zorathians, analyzing fragments of alien technology and attempting to piece together clues about the Sentinels. Meanwhile, linguists continued decoding the mysterious signals emitted by the Star Destroyers, hoping to uncover more information about their creators. Despite the monotony of travel, morale remained high. The crew found ways to bond, sharing stories about their lives back on Earth and speculating about what lay ahead. In the mess hall of the Odyssey, laughter echoed as engineers debated whether the Sentinels were ancient gods or highly advanced machines. Pilots joked about naming constellations after themselves, while medical staff organized impromptu trivia contests to keep everyone entertained. Even in the face of uncertainty, humanity's spirit shone brightly. But the peace didn't last long. On the 8th day of the journey, alarms blared throughout the fleet. Sensors detected multiple objects approaching at high speed. At first, the crew thought it might be another rift opening in space, similar to the one that had brought the Star Destroyers to Earth. But as the objects drew closer, their true nature became clear: Zorathian fighters. Dozens of them. "They must have been lying in wait," Captain Patel muttered, his fingers flying over the console as he adjusted the ship's trajectory. "They've been tracking us." Commander Vega clenched her jaw, her mind working quickly. "Raise shields and prepare for evasive maneuvers. Divert power to the forward cannons. We'll take out as many as we can before they get close. The crew sprang into action, their training kicking in as adrenaline surged through their veins. Across the fleet, ships repositioned themselves into defensive formations, creating overlapping fields of fire. Energy shields flared to life, bathing the exteriors of the vessels in shimmering blue light. Weapons systems powered up, ready to unleash torrents of plasma bolts at a moment's notice. When the first wave of Zorathian fighters reached firing range, chaos erupted. Laser beams streaked through space, striking the Unity fleet's shields with explosive force. Sparks flew inside the Odyssey's bridge as consoles overloaded from the strain. Despite the barrage, the fleet held firm, returning fire with precision and ferocity. Plasma cannons roared, sending waves of molten energy crashing into the enemy ranks. One by one, Zorathian fighters exploded, their wreckage drifting lifelessly through the void. Yet for every fighter destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. The Zorathians had clearly learned from their previous defeat. They attacked in coordinated waves, targeting weak points in the fleet's defenses. Smaller ships darted in and out of range, harassing the larger vessels while heavier cruisers loomed in the distance, waiting for an opportunity to strike. "Shields are down to 40%, shouted Lieutenant Chen, the tactical officer stationed at the rear of the bridge. His voice carried a note of urgency. "If they keep hitting us like this, we won't last much longer." Commander Vega's mind raced. They needed a plan, and fast. Then inspiration struck. Turning to Captain Patel, she issued a series of rapid-fire orders. "Signal the rest of the fleet to form a wedge pattern. Focus all firepower on the lead cruiser. It's coordinating their attacks. Once it's gone, the rest will fall into disarray." Patel relayed the command, and within moments, the Unity fleet shifted into position. Ships aligned themselves, in a tight V formation, concentrating their weapons on the largest Zorathian vessel. Plasma bolts converged on the target, tearing through its armor and crippling its engines. With a deafening roar, the cruiser erupted in a ball of flame, scattering debris across space. The loss of their flagship threw the Zorathians into confusion. Fighters broke formation, retreating haphazardly as the Unity fleet pressed its advantage. Cannons fired relentlessly, picking off stragglers and forcing the survivors to flee. By the time the battle ended, nearly half of the Zorathian forces lay in ruins, their remnants drifting aimlessly through the cosmos. Exhausted but victorious, the crew of the Odyssey let out a collective sigh of relief. Cheers erupted on the bridge as Commander Vega addressed her team. "Good work, everyone. We held our ground against overwhelming odds, and we came out on top. But don't get too comfortable. This isn't over yet. Whatever lies ahead, we need to stay sharp." Her words resonated deeply with the crew. Each skirmish brought valuable lessons, honing their skills and boosting their confidence. Slowly but surely, humanity began carving a reputation for itself as a formidable force, not just among its own kind, but among the stars. As the Unity fleet resumed its journey, the crew reflected on the implications of their victory. They had faced one of the galaxy's most feared species head-on and emerged triumphant. It was a testament to humanity's resilience and adaptability, traits that set them apart from other civilizations. But it also served as a reminder of the dangers lurking in the cosmos. The Zorathians weren't the only threat out there, and the deeper they ventured into space, the more unpredictable the challenges became. 2 weeks later, the fleet finally arrived at the coordinates provided by the Star Destroyers. What they found defied imagination. Nestled within a breathtaking nebula, bathed in hues of purple and gold, lay a sprawling station unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Its architecture was reminiscent of the Star Destroyers, massive, intricate, and seemingly ancient. Towers spiraled upward, glowing softly against the backdrop of the nebula, while docking bays large enough to accommodate entire fleets lined its perimeter. This is incredible," whispered Dr. Emily Carter, the lead scientist aboard the Odyssey. Her voice trembled with awe as she gazed at the structure through the viewport. "It's like stepping into a dream." Commander Vega shared her sentiment but remained cautious. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We don't know who or what is waiting for us inside. As the Unity fleet approached the station, ADO transmission crackled through their comms. The voice that spoke was calm and measured, carrying an authority that demanded respect. "Welcome, children of Earth. You have traveled far to reach this place. Enter and you will find answers." The message sent chills down everyone's spines. Who, or what, had sent it? Was it the Sentinels, or something else entirely? Whatever the case, one thing was clear. Humanity was about to uncover secrets that could change the course of its future forever. With hearts pounding and minds racing, the Unity fleet entered the station, ready to face whatever awaited them within. As the Unity fleet docked within the colossal station nestled in the glowing nebula, an eerie silence enveloped the crew. The air inside the structure was cool and sterile, humming faintly with energy that seemed to pulse through its walls like a living organism. Commander Elena Vega stood at the forefront of her team as they disembarked from the Odyssey, their boots clicking softly against the metallic floor. Around them, towering corridors stretched endlessly, illuminated by soft blue lights embedded into the ceiling. Every surface bore intricate carvings, symbols and patterns that shimmered faintly, almost as if they were alive. "This place, it feels ancient," murmured Dr. Emily Carter, her eyes wide with wonder as she scanned the surroundings with her handheld scanner. "But these designs, I've never seen anything like them." Vega nodded but kept her focus sharp. "Stay alert. We don't know what or who we're dealing with here." The group moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the vast emptiness. Despite the awe-inspiring beauty of the station, there was an undeniable sense of unease. It wasn't hostile exactly, more like being watched by something far greater than themselves. After several minutes of walking, they reached a massive chamber at the heart of the station. Its domed ceiling soared high above, adorned with constellations projected onto its surface, each star twinkling faintly. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, glowing with a pulsating golden light. Before anyone could approach, the voice from the transmission spoke again. This time it resonated not just through their comms but throughout the entire chamber, filling the space with a deep, resonant tone. "You have proven yourselves worthy of trust, children of Earth. You seek answers, and so we shall provide them." A holographic figure materialized above the pedestal, a humanoid shape composed entirely of swirling light. Its features were indistinct, yet its presence radiated wisdom and authority. The crew froze, unsure whether to bow, salute, or simply stare. "I am Sentinel Alpha," the figure continued. "We are artificial intelligences created millennia ago by a civilization you would call gods. Our purpose is simple: to safeguard life across the galaxy and ensure its survival. When we detected your species' potential, we intervened. Humanity has shown resilience, creativity, and a capacity for growth, qualities rare among sentient beings." Commander Vega stepped forward, her voice steady despite the surreal nature of the encounter. "Why protect us? Why now?" Sentinel Alpha paused, as though considering the question. "Earth stands at a crossroads. Your kind teeters between destruction and greatness. Left unchecked, you may succumb to greed, conflict, and self-destruction. But guided properly, you could become one of the galaxy's greatest civilizations. That is why we chose to act." Dr. Carter raised her hand, hesitantly, then lowered it when the Sentinel turned its gaze toward her. "What about the Zorathians?" she asked. "They attacked us and you destroyed their fleet without hesitation. Are they evil?" The Sentinel's form flickered slightly. "Evil is a human concept. The Zorathians are conquerors, driven by ambition and a desire for dominance. They see weakness as an opportunity to exploit. By protecting Earth, we send a message. Humanity will no longer be prey." Though his words offered clarity, they also raised new questions. If the Sentinels existed to protect life, why had they allowed countless other species to fall victim to the Zorathians? And what role did humanity play in their grand design? Over the next few hours, Sentinel Alpha shared fragments of knowledge, with the crew, revealing glimpses of the galaxy's history. Billions of years ago, the creators of the Sentinels had been a highly advanced race known as the progenitors. They had seeded the stars with life, nurturing countless civilizations, before mysteriously vanishing. Some believed they ascended to another plane of existence. Others thought they perished in a catastrophic event. Regardless, their legacy lived on through the Sentinels, who acted as guardians for fledgling species deemed worthy of preservation. Humanity's journey is only beginning, Sentinel Alpha explained, but the path ahead will not be easy. The Zorathians will return, stronger and more determined than before. Other factions may view your rise with suspicion or hostility. To survive, you must unite, not just as individuals, but as representatives of a single species striving for progress. Vega absorbed the information, her mind racing with possibilities. If you're so powerful, why not eliminate the Zorathians entirely? Why leave them as a threat? The Sentinel's glow dimmed slightly, as if saddened by the question. Our mandate does not permit extermination unless absolutely necessary. Balance must be maintained. Even the Zorathians serve a purpose in the cosmic order, albeit a destructive one. However, we cannot shield you forever. Humanity must learn to stand on its own. With those words, the Sentinel extended an offer: access to technology and resources beyond humanity's current understanding. In exchange, Earth would need to prove itself capable of responsible stewardship. The Unity Fleet's mission was just the first step, a test to gauge humanity's readiness for galactic citizenship. When the crew returned to their ships, they carried both hope and heavy burdens. The revelations from Sentinel Alpha painted a picture of a universe far more complex and dangerous than anyone had imagined. Yet they also ignited a spark of determination within the hearts of every crew member. Humanity wasn't alone anymore. It had allies, even if those allies were machines. And while the road ahead was uncertain, the promise of greatness fueled their resolve. As the Unity fleet prepared to depart the station, Sentinel Alpha delivered one final message. Remember this moment, children of Earth. You have taken your first steps into a larger world. Use what you have learned wisely, for the choices you make will shape not only your destiny, but the fate of the galaxy itself. With that, the station's docking bay doors opened, revealing the breathtaking expanse of the nebula once again. The fleet launched back into space, its mission now clearer than ever: to bring humanity together and prepare it for the challenges awaiting beyond the stars. The journey home was filled with reflection. Crew members discussed what they had learned, sharing theories and dreams about humanity's future. For Commander Vega, however, the weight of leadership pressed heavily on her shoulders. She knew the battles to come would test not just their technology but their unity, courage, and morality. Could humanity truly rise to meet the expectations set by the Sentinels? Or would internal divisions and fear hold them back? Back on Earth, news of the Unity fleet's discoveries spread rapidly. Governments convened emergency summits to discuss how best to integrate alien technology into society. Scientists worked tirelessly to reverse engineer samples brought back from the station, unlocking secrets that promised to revolutionize medicine, energy production, and transportation. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens marveled at images of the station and the Sentinels, debating their implications for humanity's place in the cosmos. Yet amidst the excitement, tensions simmered. Not everyone trusted the Sentinels or their motives. Conspiracy theorists claimed the AI entities might have ulterior plans, warning that reliance on alien technology could lead to disaster. Others argued that humanity should focus inward, strengthening itself before venturing further into the unknown. Despite these concerns, one truth remained undeniable: humanity's days of isolation were over. The arrival of the Star Destroyers and the revelations from the Sentinels had thrust Earth onto the galactic stage. Whether humanity liked it or not, it was part of something much larger, a tapestry of civilizations spread across the stars, each vying for survival and significance. And so, as the Unity fleet re-entered Earth's orbit, Commander Vega addressed her crew one last time. "This isn't the end," she said firmly. "It's the beginning. We've been given a chance to prove ourselves, to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. Let's make sure we don't waste it. Her words echoed in the minds of everyone aboard the fleet, a rallying cry for a species poised to take its place among the stars. Little did they know, the true trials lay just around the corner. The Zorathians were regrouping, forging alliances, with rival species bent on revenge. And somewhere in the depths of space, darker forces stirred, watching humanity's ascent with wary eyes. Humanity had taken its first steps into the unknown, but the journey was far from over. The return of the Unity fleet to Earth marked a turning point in human history. News of their discoveries spread like wildfire, igniting both hope and fear across the globe. Governments scrambled to respond, holding emergency summits to address the implications of humanity's newfound role on the galactic stage. For the first time in centuries, nations set aside their differences and worked together toward a common goal, preparing Earth for the challenges ahead. The technology brought back from the Sentinel station revolutionized every aspect of human life. Engineers reverse-engineered alien designs, creating breakthroughs in energy production, medicine, and transportation. Diseases that had plagued humanity for generations were eradicated, clean energy became ubiquitous, and poverty plummeted as resources were distributed more equitably. The changes were so profound that some began referring to this era as the golden age of humanity. Yet beneath the surface of progress lay simmering tensions. Not everyone welcomed the rapid transformation. Conspiracy theorists warned of hidden dangers, claiming the Sentinel's gifts came with strings attached. Others feared humanity was advancing too quickly, risking its own destruction if it couldn't adapt responsibly. Despite these concerns, one thing was clear: Earth was no longer isolated. The arrival of the Star Destroyers and the revelations from the Sentinels had thrust humanity into a universe far larger and far deadlier than anyone had imagined. Word of Earth's alliance with the Sentinels spread quickly among alien civilizations, drawing both admiration and hostility. Some species viewed humanity's rise as an opportunity for partnership, others saw it as a threat to their dominance. Among them, the Zorathians burned with rage, vowing revenge against the species they once considered weak and insignificant. Commander Vraxal paced the bridge of his new flagship, the Zorathus Prime, his claws clicking against the metallic floor with each step. His defeat at the hands of the Star Destroyer still haunted him, a scar on his pride that refused to heal. But now, he had reinforcements, dozens of ships from allied factions angered by humanity's sudden ascent. Together, they formed a coalition, determined to crush Earth and reclaim their honor. "We cannot allow this upstart species to challenge our supremacy," Vraxal growled during a meeting with his allies. His voice carried a mix of fury and desperation. "If we do not act now, others will see us as weak. They will turn on us just as they turned on humanity." His words resonated with the gathered leaders, each representing a faction eager to prove itself in the galaxy. From the insectoid Zyran hive to the cybernetic krill collective, the coalition represented a diverse array of species united by a single purpose: eradicating humanity before it grew too powerful. As the coalition assembled, its forces at the edge of Earth's solar system, Commander Vega and her crew prepared for war. The Unity fleet had grown since its initial voyage, bolstered by new ships constructed using Sentinel technology. Pilots trained tirelessly, honing their skills in simulated battles designed to mimic the coalition's tactics. Scientists worked around the clock, developing countermeasures for the advanced weaponry wielded by their enemies, and diplomats reached out to neutral factions, seeking alliances to tip the scales in humanity's favor. But even with their newfound strength, Vega knew the odds were against them. The coalition outnumbered them nearly 3-1, and many of its members possessed technology rivaling or surpassing their own. Still, she refused to let fear dictate her actions. "We've faced impossible odds before," she told her crew during a pre-battle briefing. "And we've won. This time will be no different." The battle began on the outskirts of Mars, where the coalition launched its first assault. Waves of enemy ships surged forward, their formations tight and disciplined. Laser beams streaked through space, colliding with Earth's defenses in dazzling bursts of light. Plasma cannons roared, tearing through shields and hulls alike. Explosions lit up the void, casting eerie shadows across the surfaces of nearby moons. For hours, the fight raged on, neither side gaining a decisive advantage. The Unity fleet fought valiantly, drawing inspiration from the lessons learned during their encounters with the Zorathians. Pilots executed daring maneuvers, weaving between enemy fire with precision and speed. Gunners unleashed torrents of plasma bolts, targeting weak points in the Coalition's armor. Commanders coordinated attacks with military precision, exploiting every opening they could find. Yet despite their efforts, the Coalition's sheer numbers began to take their toll. Shields faltered, hulls cracked, and ships were lost. Just when it seemed the tide might turn against them, reinforcements arrived. An unexpected ally had answered humanity's call for help. A fleet of sleek silver vessels emerged from hyperspace, their hulls emblazoned with the insignia of the Luminaris Conquered, a pacifist civilization known for its commitment to peace. Though reluctant to engage in conflict, the Luminaries recognized the threat posed by the Coalition and chose to intervene. "Humanity has shown potential for greatness," said Ambassador Silas, leader of the Luminaris fleet, over a secure channel. "We will stand with you, not because we seek war, but because we believe in your future." With the Luminaries' support, the Unity fleet rallied, launching a counter-offensive that caught the Coalition off guard. Plasma cannons and energy beams converged on key targets, crippling enemy command centers and disrupting their coordination. One by one, Coalition ships fell, their crews overwhelmed by the combined might of humanity and its allies. Commander Vraxal watched in horror as his carefully laid plans unraveled before his eyes. His flagship, once a symbol of Zorathian power, now bore the scars of countless impacts. Alarms blared and smoke filled the air as systems failed one after another. Desperation clawed at his mind, but he refused to surrender. "All units retreat," he barked, his voice cracking under the strain. "Regroup at Sector 12. The remaining Coalition forces fled, leaving behind a trail of wreckage and debris. As the last enemy ship disappeared into hyperspace, cheers erupted aboard the Unity fleet. Pilots hugged one another, scientists celebrated in their labs, and soldiers raised their fists in triumph. Against all odds, humanity had won. In the aftermath of the battle, Earth stood taller than ever before. The Coalition's defeat sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy, forcing other civilizations to reconsider their stance toward humanity. Trade agreements were signed, alliances forged, and embassies established on distant worlds. For the first time, humanity was recognized as a legitimate player in interstellar politics, a species capable of defending itself and contributing to the greater good. Yet the victory came at a cost. Thousands of lives had been lost, and the scars of war would linger for generations. Commander Vega addressed her crew and the world in a solemn speech, acknowledging the sacrifices made and the challenges still ahead. "Today, we celebrate our triumph," she said, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. "But tomorrow, we must continue building a future worthy of those who gave everything for it. We are pioneers now, explorers charting a course into the unknown. Let us honor their memory by striving for peace, unity, and progress." As the galaxy watched, humanity embarked on a new chapter of its journey. Guided by the wisdom of the Sentinels and supported by allies like the Luminaries, Earth began carving out its place among the stars. Colonies sprang up on distant planets, trade routes expanded, and cultural exchanges enriched societies across the galaxy. Humanity's flaws remained. It was still prone to disagreements, mistakes, and moments of doubt, but it also showed remarkable resilience, creativity, and determination. Deep within the Sentinel station, Alpha observed these developments with quiet satisfaction. Humanity had proven itself worthy of trust, rising to meet the challenges placed before it. Though the road ahead would be fraught with trials, the AI intelligence believed in the species' potential. Perhaps one day humanity would join the ranks of the progenitors, leaving behind a legacy of its own, And so, as the stars twinkled in the endless expanse of space, humanity took its rightful place among them, not as conquerors or victims, but as builders of a brighter future. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, and humanity's story was only beginning.